The TNA locker room is in uproar following a major backstage shakeup. Plus, we have an update on the Tony Khan AEW lawsuit and an update on a returning WWE star. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. So yesterday, the news was broken by Fightful of some sweeping changes behind the scenes at TNA. And some big names have gone from the company this morning.
Yeah, we'll reveal those now. Again, this was broken by Fightful. Company president Carlos Silva sent out an email announcing that long-standing TNA producer and Hall of Famer, needless to say, Gail Kim, had been let go from the company alongside Senior Vice President of Content, Distribution and Marketing Ariel Schnerer, I think I pronounced that correctly, Chief Revenue Officer Rob Kligman, and digital team member Michael Shevchenko. Several other names from the marketing, digital and live events team were also announced in the email as being let go. So as Tom said there, sweeping changes. The big name for wrestling fans is obviously Gail Kim, but these are other additionally very crucial people behind the scenes.
Very much so. The email from TNA President Carlos Silva concludes saying, "Our company is built on the strengths and dedication of our team, and these changes do not diminish the value or the contributions of those affected." It's understood by Fightful that Hunter Johnson, formerly Ring of Honor star Delirious, will lead the TNA creative department. David Clevinger, who is formerly of the UFC, the NBA, the NHL, Universal, is joining TNA as the Senior Vice President of Digital from next month. To repeat what Jack said, of course, that name that jumps out is Gail Kim, massively part of the fabric of TNA for many, many years, both in-ring and behind the scenes as well. Multi-time TNA/Impact Knockouts world champion, inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame, and when she retired, took on a role behind the scenes, an agent, a producer, generally a real confidant, not just for the Knockouts division, but for the entire company as well.
Yeah.
I can speak from the Impact UK Invasion Tour how much of a positive influence Gail Kim is.
Right.
Having worked with her for that weekend, I can honestly say that she's one of those people that is a presence that will be missed behind the scenes.
So she was over here as well. She came over.
She was indeed, yeah.
I didn't know that, and the fact that I didn't even know that and I went to the show suggests that she's not even one of those people who is sneakily still trying to get a bit of the limelight. She seems very selfless in her role as well.
Well, the one you may have seen her as she was the guest referee in the Newcastle show for the Knockouts World Title match, but for the rest of the show, she was very much behind the scenes. In her role, she was working on the UK Gut Check shows. She was working with talent. She even offered me some advice and some guidance as well, which was really, really greatly received.
I can't believe I forgot that she was the special ringer. I feel silly now.
Did a big announcement for her and everything.
I had a drinky winky that night.
You had a drinky winky that night. It's caused uproar from the TNA locker room, not just these changes, but in particular, Gail Kim. Names like Rosemary, Tasha Steeles, and Steph DeLander voicing their upset with the news online. Steph DeLander going as far as to say, "WTF are we doing?" Yeah. LOL.
John Alba has also reported saying that one top TNA talent tells me they believe Gail Kim is a major loss, especially for the women's division. This is an echoed sentiment across those that I've spoken with so far, he says. Most believe her departure will have a significant impact on the company more than any other. So it might not even just be the most headline-grabbing name, but the most crucial one as well to be released or to be let go.
Yeah, I think there's certainly going to be one that will be felt backstage. In terms of why this is all happening, well, Bill Apter was on Sportskeeda Backstage Pass. He says he's heard from his sources that this is connected to the WWE partnership that currently they and TNA have with some political happenings behind the scenes that has led to a backstage reshuffle. In terms of what that means, whether it means that WWE are having more influence on how TNA is running their business, perhaps.
There's no real way of us to know at this point, but it's certainly something that wouldn't greatly surprise me, especially if Carlos Silva is particularly sympathetic towards or easily influenced by WWE. I can totally see that being a reason for such sweeping changes to people which, as far as we know, have only done a great job in TNA.
It's one that we're going to keep an eye on for you at cultaholic.com. Ryan Nemeth in the news this morning today as well. As you know, filing a lawsuit against AEW, Tony Khan and CM Punk. He received a legal summons. He found out about it just before taking to the stage with his off-Broadway show. He revealed this after changing his Twitter bio to say, raise your hand if a literal billionaire sent someone to sue you 4 minutes before you walked on stage for your off-Broadway debut play this weekend.
Ryan Nemeth obviously filed a lawsuit on February 14th, just to recap, against, as Tom said, AEW, Tony Khan and CM Punk, alleging assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and intentional interference with prospective advantage. AEW and Tony Khan have filed to move the lawsuit to private arbitration, citing a clause in Ryan Nemeth's contract that any disputes are resolved in Duval County, Florida.
So to kind of clear up what Ryan Nemeth's bio update meant, PW Insider have filled in the blanks and said court records indicate that Nemeth was actually served a summons on behalf of AEW and its president, Tony Khan. The summons is in response to AEW filing a court case before the US District Court. While the summons issued to Nemeth states that he is being sued, technically it's all a response to the lawsuit he filed himself. AEW is arguing that Nemeth ignored the language in his contract when he filed his lawsuit in California last month. This is the lawsuit about his dismissal from the company as it pertained to the back and forth with CM Punk, which we've talked about on Cultaholic.com and on these videos as well. PW Insider adds, AEW is arguing that Nemeth ignored the language in his contract when he filed the lawsuit in California last month, and the lawsuit alleges assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and intentional interference with prospective advantage, and demands a jury trial. So in case you're wondering what it meant by I've been handed a lawsuit by a literal billionaire, that's what this is. It's all part of what Ryan Nemeth got underway with AEW and Tony Khan.
I mean, on one hand, just before we were rolling, before you explained that there, I was like, well, what does he mean then in his Twitter bio? But I can now see what he means. It's not as misleading as I thought he was being in his Twitter bio. There's two ways to look at it, and I'm sure that both sides have their own grievances, and I feel like this story's going to rumble on for a while.
It certainly will. We are awaiting the return of one former WWE star who made a bit of an impact on the main roster before very suddenly being pulled away from it. What do we know of Ilya Dragunov, Jack?
Well, this is according to WrestleVote, who report that Ilya Dragunov was at the Performance Center 2 weeks ago. It was unknown if he was there to be trained for an in-ring return or not. He could be doing some coaching. He could be imparting some advice. He could be doing many different things. But one reason to go to the Performance Center when you've not been there for a while might be to get back in ring shape, shake off a bit of the ring rust. He's been out, unfortunately, with injury. And I would love for that to be the case. I want to see him back.
I think the last match that he had before he was injured could set the precedent for what we see coming back. His last match was against Gunter.
Right.
And they had an absolute match of the decade moment in NXT UK when they had that empty arena match.
Yeah.
And it was something else.
Tom doesn't mean that was the last match. He's not been out for
No.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of referring to their previous. Thank you for clearing that up.
That was one of the only matches where the lack of a crowd sort of maybe helped it even, because you could hear every single strike and it was nasty.
They had another match on an NXT takeover soon afterwards, which Dragunov would win. And they had this aforementioned match at a live event, which apparently by all concerned was incredible, but unfortunately left Ilya Dragunov with an injury that's seen him out of action ever since. I think if Gunter comes out of WrestleMania with the world title, I think there's two options really. You could go for the nostalgia hit and we get a Gunter Goldberg run, or if he's ready to go, give us Gunter Dragunov, you cowards.
And I agree. And to add to that, I think even if he loses to Jey Uso, a good exit feud out of the title picture for a while would still be Ilya Dragunov. I just want to see more Gunter Dragunov, to be honest.
I think we all do. Yeah. However, the Gunter Jey Uso feud is proven to be the most divisive main event in WrestleMania history. We talk about why on the channel right now. Talk about how WWE. A lot of people are saying WWE has a Jey Uso problem but we can talk more about that, but how this match may take shape as a result of some of the sentiment towards Jey Uso changing, at least online. That's on the channel waiting for you right now. Are you twitching tonight?
I am twitching tonight with Owen Mawson, twitch.tv/Cultaholic, starting at 6 p.m. UK time. Still GMT, but it changes this weekend to BST.
Oh, do we gain an hour?
I think we gain an hour.
Happy days.
Or lose one overnight, but it's the same. But anyway, UK time, 6 p.m. UK time tonight.
We lose an hour. Spring forward, fall back. Spring forward, autumn back,
Yes.
if you're in the UK.
And we'll be taking control once again of the Fulham Swans. We've stayed there for another season. We lost our first match of the season last week. It's fine. And also, I took on Ross Tweddle in a video that's set to come out, if not today, then tomorrow, I believe, maybe, where we are playing higher or lower, basically, but with WrestleMania Dave Meltzer star ratings. So Owen reads us a match, and then another match, then we have to think whether it's higher or lower. And it's a feisty encounter, Tom.
Feisty.
And I had a tremendously fun time, and we both did, and I think you will as well if you watch it.
And for the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe and fly, swans, fly.